You can see it's extremely smoky here at Hume Lake still, but the very fact that we're even here is good news today. Yesterday, it was too dangerous to even come here. Firefighters were setting backfires right over there between the dam on the left and Buck Rock on the right. That was a successful operation. It's a lot safer here at Hume Lake today. From above the lake, a clear picture of the damage forms. Gray and black cover the ground as ash and charred trees are the remnants of the rough fire. Small fires along the side of the road are active reminders of the work firefighters have done to protect the Christian camp on the lake and dozens of homes. More than 1,600 firefighters came from all over the state and the country, but we found a few fighting for more than just the people who were affected.
We don't ever ask for donations. We don't ever have fundraisers. We just say, okay, God, where you guide, you provide.
Firefighters for Christ felt a special personal calling here. The emergency responding missionaries traveled from disaster to disaster across the globe, but Hume Lake is where they've held a conference every year since the 1970s. Like their annual guests, the people who live and work at the camp are closely monitoring the progress, some from the Fresno office and a few on site. The folks who didn't evacuate know Thursday's backfires and Friday's late smoke cover are good signs, even as the flames spread around the lake and towards Buck Rock a few miles away.
I'm not aware of any other fire activity beyond that. It's just moving slowly right now.
Camp directors are looking ahead and trying to figure out exactly what to do with Country Fair, which is their big fundraiser for the year. It is scheduled for 2 weeks from now, but as of today, no decisions on whether it should be held or canceled have been made. From Hume Lake, Corin Hoggard, ABC 30 Action News. Fong Yang was armed with nothing more than a bag of apricots as his son blew him away. The elder Yang had just returned from a trip to the grocery store when his son shot him 6 times, then left him to die in the courtyard of the Clovis apartment complex. A neighbor we won't identify was the first to spot the victim.
I kind of pushed him over a little bit, or tapped him to see if he was okay, and I asked him if he was okay, and he moaned.
Peter Yang admits this is no whodunit. He killed his father. But his attorney says it's more complicated than just what happened that night 14 months ago.
This case is about drugs, and violence, pain, and privacy. It's about things that have happened behind closed doors.
The Yangs had a tense relationship. Fong didn't live in the apartment, but he used a sparsely furnished closet as a sort of opium den. And Peter's attorney says he knew his dad had abused family members. So when he told his father not to come back and saw him just a little while later, the showdown was on.
He realized it wasn't going to be nice. And he had this bag, I'm sure that had apricots in it. But he didn't know what his father was capable of.
Prosecutors say Peter Yang clearly thought out the shooting. He got his legally registered gun, loaded it, and when his dad came back, there was no argument, just gunfire. And he gave investigators no explanation.
You may never know or be entirely satisfied at the end of this case of exactly why this defendant shot his dad.
The trial should only take a couple days. Peter Yang is facing life in prison if he's convicted, and he is expected to testify in his own defense. Corin Hoggard, ABC 30 Action News. Next on Action News, real American heroes. The brief, bloody, and chaotic struggle to stop a suspected terrorist attack on a French bullet train. Plus, a strategy to save what's left. Firefighters see some success on the rough fire lines despite a major loss Friday. And from dirt to dynamic, the playground and preschool you can help build from the ground up. Action News AM Live Saturday starts now.
Number 1 in Central California. This is ABC 30 Action News AM Live.
Good morning, Central Valley. You are looking live from our Fresno Pacific University North Fresno campus Skycam. Blue skies there over Friant Road and River Park, but you can see some haze out there. I'm Corin Hoggard. Let's get right over to Ruben Contreras for first check of the AccuWeather forecast. Haze, heat, What else?
That's basically it, yeah. But of course, if you look to the west, skies are blue. But if you look to the east, you see that haze building over the valley from the smoke from what is the rough fire up in the Fresno County mountains. And it's starting to get a little mild out there this morning. 64 now in Madera, 68 in Visalia, and 67 here in Fresno. Give or take a degree or two, we're about the same compared to this time yesterday. Temperatures this weekend, though, will warm up slightly. We're staying near the average, which is 96 for this time of year throughout most of the valley. And of course, areas of smoke are going to link over the valley, foothills, and the Sierra, especially areas of Fresno County towards the rough fire. Today, 97 degrees in Fresno, just above the average of 96 for this time of year, and winds will be fairly light for most of today. We could make a return to the triple digits, but it's fairly brief. I'll have details on that in the extended forecast coming up.
Developing news now out of Europe this morning, where the French Prime Minister is thanking 3 Americans, including 2 service members, for stopping a violent attack on a high-speed train from Amsterdam to Paris. Witnesses say they saw a shirtless man walk out of a train bathroom with a rifle slung over his shoulder. The French government says a French passenger, an actor, was the first to intervene, but it was 2 men from California and 1 from Oregon who tackled the suspect and kept him down. In this video taken by an American passenger on the train, you can see that suspected gunman on the floor with his hands and feet tied. Authorities say he was also armed with a knife or a box cutter. One of the American servicemen who helped subdue the attacker, Alex Scarlatos, described the scene.
I saw a guy entering the train with an AK and a handgun, and I just looked over at Spencer and said, "Let's go." And he jumped up, and I followed behind him by about 3 seconds. Spencer got to the guy first, grabbed the guy by the neck, and I grabbed the handgun, got the handgun away from the guy and threw it, and then I grabbed the AK, which was at his feet. We were scared for sure, but I mean, adrenaline mostly just took over because, I mean, I didn't even have time to think. I didn't even realize or fully comprehend what was going on. I honestly didn't even believe it. It felt like it was a dream or a movie or something. Like,
one of the Californians was slashed in the head and neck and almost had his thumb cut off. 2 other passengers suffered minor injuries, but everybody's expected to fully recover. French police arrested the gunman before the train got to Paris. They say the suspect was a Moroccan known to European counterterrorism agencies for radical jihadist views. In New York City, a gunman shot himself after opening fire inside a federal building yesterday and killing a guard. According to police, the 68-year-old veteran and former federal employee walked into the lobby and gave private security guard Idrissa Kamara no chance to defend himself.
As he approached the metal detector in the security screening area, the male immediately pulled out a gun and shot the security guard at close range. He proceeded through the security area and headed towards the elevator where he encountered another employee. At this point, the suspect shot himself in the head. The suspect is dead on the scene.
Kamara was taken to a hospital where he later died. His company said in a statement he had volunteered earlier in the day to work an extra hour beyond his normal shift. Police and federal authorities are trying to determine the shooter's motives, but investigators say there were no other suspects involved and there is no indication it was terrorism. Happening right now, Fresno firefighters watching for flare-ups after putting out a house fire in southeast Fresno this morning. Fire crews were called to East Tulare near Winery Avenue around 5:30 a.m. You could see the smoke from our downtown Fresno sky cam. When firefighters arrived, they found a large vacant home with smoke pouring out of its windows. They evacuated the homeowners next door for their safety, and to fight the fire, they had to request extra water pressure for the area from the Public Works Department. No injuries were reported. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Happening now, the massive wildfire burning east of Fresno has destroyed its first structure, that one, the Kings Canyon Lodge. The lodge has hosted tourists from all over the world for the past 35 years. The Grant Grove and Wilsonia areas of the Kings Canyon National Park are closed to visitors this morning because of the fire. Crews are doing everything they can to protect Hume Lake and the surrounding areas from the rough fire. So far, nearly 42,000 acres have burned, and the fire is only 3% contained right now. Action News reporter Brian Johnson talked with fire officials on their strategy to attack the fire this weekend.
Firefighter efforts on Friday night mainly consisted of protecting those 450 or so structures surrounding Hume Lake, and those efforts were largely successful. But as for this weekend, they're expecting some shifts in weather patterns, including the wind and drops in humidity levels overnight. They say all of those things combined could make fighting this fire that much tougher.
So let's stand in front of the tree again.
People come from all over the world to take pictures of the giant General Grant tree.
Nice shot.
This family came from the East Coast. And while they took time to admire the towering tree, they couldn't help but notice the nearby rough fire.
It's clear that it's there and it doesn't look very far away.
Smoke was kind of billowing up and it was looked like a cloud.
Grant Grove was open Friday, but just beyond the trees, the roads were closed. Just up the road from Hume Lake Christian Camp, these firefighters put out a hotspot related to some backburning from Thursday. But Hume Lake's guest relations manager Bill Carroll says the backburning along roads surrounding the camp held back the force of the fire. But the danger remains.
The fire is still spreading on our sides, and so there are fire crews all around this camp just ready to protect the camp.
More than 1,400 firefighters from around the state are still battling the blaze. With fire retardant and water from Hume Lake. Late Friday, the smoke had settled around the lake, allowing firefighters to take a breather from the large-scale fight.
There's definitely a peace and a calm that these guys got it under control, and we absolutely serve a God that's got it under control.
So this view stays picture perfect. We have confirmed with fire officials here that one large commercial structure and a couple of other minor structures have been destroyed as a result of this fire. Meanwhile, a search is underway for a missing hiker in the Horseshoe Lake area. In Fresno County, Brian Johnson, Action News, AM Live.
The wildfire that killed 3 firefighters in Washington state early this week has now grown by more than 100 square miles. More than 135,000 acres have burned in the last 24 hours alone. Officials say fierce winds are fueling the fire's growth. Yesterday, President Obama declared that thousands of acres burned by that fire a disaster area. Nearly 3,000 firefighters, some from as far away as New Zealand, are working to contain the flames. State officials are now even asking for volunteers to join the fight.
Those guys put their lives on the line to save my place, and I feel an obligation to at least get out there and try to help out.
Firefighters held their hands and helmets to their hearts during a solemn procession Wednesday as the bodies of their 3 fallen brothers were carried out of the area by emergency personnel. Investigators say shifting winds moved the fire's direction, causing the truck the firefighters were in to go off the road. The truck was then overcome by flames. Democratic Congressman Jim Costa will discuss immigration reform in a town hall meeting today. The meeting will be held at the old administration building at Fresno City College from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's being presented by the Fresno Immigration Coalition. Coming up, making the Valley a better place in honor of a Fresno nurse killed in a suspected drunk driving crash. Plus, building a playground and a preschool from the ground up. You can help very soon.